I am so glad that you're watching this show, has revealed the source of the coronavirus and the politicians involved. I mean, this is phenomenal. Tell us some of the things God has shown you.
I just got back from being in Honduras with Apostle Maldonado, and in that time of doing a crusade there, God gave me a dream, and he set me in the dream in China. Now, I'm aware of, I must say, not everything, but in this dream, God took me to a laboratory room, a lab room, and I saw the virus being created. I saw how it's coming through.
I've heard rumors about this, but you actually saw it being created.
I saw it being created. Now, we also got to remember now the shaking is coming, Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 6. God's in the shaking. The enemy took that as a leverage to produce the spirit of fear and torment over the entirety of the world. So God is raising the prophetic voices to give us a strategy, a plan, how to be one step ahead of the enemy. Amos 3:7 said he'll do nothing unless he first reveal it to the prophets. So God would be unjust if he didn't give it to the prophets. He'll be violating his covenant to the nation of Israel and to the Gentile world if he didn't show what was going on in America and the world today. So he took me into the nation of China, and I was taken to this lab room with scientists and everything, and I saw behind closed doors was Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party. They said we could not impeach Trump. And I shared some of this in January that when I was here.
But some haven't heard that.
Some have not heard it. Because God gave me a dream that they were going to try to impeach him, but the impeachment would fall. Then they would try to, they needed leverage. And then in my dream in China, because God deals with me more like he did with Daniel in dreams. And he shows me prophetic stages to what's happening in the world. So I'm in Honduras, and I have this dream for 2 hours. And I'm taken to this laboratory room. I see these scientists creating the virus, and the threats of this virus would come through on the garments and the machine shooting in the air and through needles, like vaccines. I'm not saying you shouldn't take vaccines, but there's an antidote that's coming that hasn't been presented yet. This time frame of shaking and the introduction of fear from the enemy is to deal with the landscape of the American churches and the corruption. China, and I'm very careful to say this, but it's, God is tired of what China has done to God's people, how it has tried to stop the church from moving forward as God's people.
They've been persecuting Christians.
They have been prosecuting, burning down mega churches, trying to martyr the saints. And God spoke to me in a dream in Honduras. He said, enough is enough. And when God gets enough is enough, he's going to start showing the prophets what's coming. So January the 15th, actually the first part was the end of December 2019. The second part, January the 15th. And he told me within 4 months, the clip we just got through seeing, that'll make it April the 15th through 16th. What is that to the nation of Israel? It's the Passover time. So we're going to start seeing this virus, and then I had a dream. The second part
So what is going to happen on Passover?
We're going to start seeing this virus diminish.
Okay.
And we're going to start seeing, because I had another part of the dream where the sun was coming down. And I found out yesterday from scientific proof from a scientist that when the sun or the heat hit, the viruses evaporate. So God has a plan to break the spirit of fear over the world, that we don't be entrapped with more danger that is lurking.
From a political viewpoint, do you believe there are Americans involved with China with this? What was China's purpose in doing?
China's purpose was to manipulate the election of our president.
Really?
We all set the election, which I don't have dreamed that he's been reelected.
So they wanted him to lose?
Yeah, they want him to.
For sure they would.
Well, the Democratic Party, and this is not, we're kingdom people. It's not about parties.
Oh, I know that.
Republican or Democrat, it's about God's agenda. But in my dream, I heard Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party said, finally, we got a leverage now because Trump rallies big campaigns. So this was all set the time frame prophetically, because what's taking place now was not supposed to take place through 2028. I was already shown this whole entire decade after much fasting in sackcloth. So, and then the Lord spoke to me. He said the responsibility of the prophets and the intercessor is to get this back on the regular time frame. And now in this sequence and this season, we have to prevent the plans and the plots of the enemy. Regardless if you hate Trump or hate Barack Obama, George Bush, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the church stand to the forefront, and as long as we stand with Israel, as long as we stand in our covenant with God, as he made with Abraham, who became a friend with God, the blood is applied over our home, the blood is applied over our children, and God spoke to me to give hope in the midst of all this that he's shown me that can lead us to one of the worst decades ever. That in the midst of this crisis, the cross is going to prevail. And that means that it's already been done. All we got to do is, as a prophetic voice, is to give the warnings out, present a strategy, show the people what the next step to do, not to be intimidated, not to be afraid.
Well, give me a bottom line. Will this virus just eventually taper out?
It will. It will. This is not the worst.
Beginning Passover.
Right. This is not the worst that's coming. April 15, 16, during the Passover time, only the mind of Christ can say this. Only God himself can be so brilliant to give a human instrument the time frame from when I was here, January, not because of Tracy, because of God. January the 15th to April the 15th, we're in the middle of Passover. Now here come the plague. When the plague came, what moved the plague? The blood. Passover. Only God can be that brilliant.